Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It's Thursday, April 16th, 2026. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. To kick things off, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So we had yet another mild day yesterday. I'm
We
sorry, I
did.
know some people kvetched about it. I have friends down in Philadelphia who were saying it was so humid. It was more humid, but
hmm
I don't know. I still didn't find it oppressive. I know oppressive from living in Fort Lauderdale, and this wasn't oppressive.
It was hot for April. I mean, it broke a record by 3 degrees over at Newark Airport. So
Right.
that says something, right? Considering that old record was last beat in 1960. So some pretty old records there. And we've got another round of warmth again today, Ken, that will allow for temperatures to warm again into the 90s. We start off this morning, lots of sunshine, warm air in place. You feel the humidity as soon as you step outside. Again, it feels more like June or July rather than the middle of April. And even through the next few afternoons, keeping it rather warm. So the warm front's well off to our north. We keep getting that nice flow of warm southwesterly wind across New Jersey. That will keep us nice and clear throughout today. Tomorrow, the front that passes through that begins to dry us out and cool us down a little bit, and it doesn't provide much in the way of moisture at all. It just allows for another round of clear sky on Saturday, but there's a little bit of cooler breezes that come in off of the water that will allow for the beach locations to remain very chilly. And then by Sunday morning, this second front allows for that rain to cool us off and also dry us out into the second half of the weekend. So we get another round of summer again today and tomorrow into Friday. That warmth still lasting. It's like these graphics just keep going on repeat, bringing back all the warmth into this weekend. But there is a little bit of a cool down on the way. Here's front number one, and there's front number two that'll eventually bring us back to spring by Monday. We'll tell you more about that coming up in your next weather update in a few minutes.
All right, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. It is currently 66 degrees northern New Jersey, 64 degrees in Trenton. Over to Los Angeles. This might not have been refreshed because it's saying, no, it's not refreshed. Hang on. I don't want to say a temperature. Yeah, there we go. 57. It was saying 70 because it didn't refresh from last night, but it is 57 in Los Angeles right now, 56 degrees. Oh, it's a degree cooler in San Diego. That's interesting. We have a lot of issues on roadways right now to tell you about on I-78. We have a crash westbound east of exit 29, which is 287 exit in Bridgewater Township. The left lane is closed. We have a crash on the Pulaski Skyway. So Pam was saying the Pulaski, that's that big elevated roadway that has no shoulders on it. It has that big arch kind of a frame on it. It's very old. And when there's a breakdown, you are SK rude screwed because there's no place to go. You can't get off, you can't go back, and you can't go to a shoulder. So the Pulaski Skyway right now has a crash, and this is, let's see exactly where. This is by, okay, eastbound by Tunnelly Circle, Jersey City. So the right lane is closed. So everybody is trying to make their way on the Pulaski, which is the 1 and 9 extension overpass. On one lane, left lane. Route 21, we have a crash northbound north of East 3rd Avenue in Newark. All lanes are open, just trying to make their way through. Traffic signal down on Route 30 southbound by Route 690 in Berlin. All lanes are open. We have, again, those restrictions at the area airports for the big parking lots. The long-term parking lots are all pretty much at or near capacity. So make sure you reserve a parking space if you're driving yourself to an airport. Also, if you're flying Spirit Airlines within the next week, there is word, and this is just, there's nothing confirmed about this, but there is word that Spirit Airlines may go belly up. No confirmation, but it's big enough and it's circulating out there that have a plan B in the event you were going to fly Spirit Airlines in the next week. Because all over the web, all the big airline companies are saying because of the cost of fuel, they can't make it right now. They were in bankruptcy already, Chapter 11, and that they may not make it, unfortunately, because they're a great little airline. And just beware of that and have a plan B if you were flying out in the next week from Spirit Airlines. We check the Hudson River crossings right now. Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 25. Let's look at the GWB upper and lower levels. You see they are jamming, and that's going to cost you 35 to 40 already into Manhattan. We also have something with NJ Transit following an earlier disabled train in one of the Hudson River tunnels. NJ Transit rail service operating on or close to schedule now, they're saying, but there are residual delays to trains already en route into and out of Penn Station. So just be aware of that. If you have a loved one who was taking an earlier train prior to the last half hour, they are going to be delayed getting into or out of Penn Station. But everyone else from that point on will be okay. To the West Coast, quickly we go. In Baldwin Park, there's a traffic hazard reported on the 60 at Grand Avenue. We have a collision in West LA on the 405 at Sunset, and we have a collision also in South LA and East Florence Ave at Graham Avenue. 5 minutes past the hour, U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, issued a warning to ships that it would force compliance with the ongoing blockade of the Strait of Hormuz amid the Iran war after 2 oil tankers tried to leave Iranian ports. They were sent back. Trump imposed the blockade over the weekend in the wake of failed negotiations in Pakistan. Iran refused to give up its nuclear ambitions, a non-starter for the U.S. Meanwhile, Iran is set to execute its first female protester over recent protests, one of an estimated 1,600 sentenced to death by the Islamic Republic. This is a woman in her late 20s, beautiful Iranian woman, intelligent, educated. They don't like that under the Islamic Republic. I wonder why, by the way, there's silence from the Pope on this. Isn't that funny? So we'll execute innocent protesters by hanging them publicly, and the Pope says nothing about it. And I speak as a former Catholic priest who is still a devout Catholic. Pope Leo, you can't be selective on your outrage. Bita Hamati, the first woman due to be hanged in connection with the demonstrations that broke out in January that were viciously stamped out by government forces. And I want the Pope of the Catholic Church to speak out about this, just like you spoke out to Trump. Newly released video shows a high school principal in Oklahoma tackling and disarming a former student who entered the lobby of the school and began firing a gun. Pauls Valley High School principal Kirk Moore was shot in the leg during the April 7th attack, but managed to wrestle the suspect to a bench, remained on top of him till cops got there. No students were hurt. Authorities arrested 20-year-old Victor Lee Hawkins, a former student at the school, charged him with unlawfully carrying a firearm and shooting with intent to kill. Well, President Trump said that he would fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell if he doesn't step aside when his term expires May 15th. The timing of Powell's departure has been complicated by the Justice Department's criminal investigation into Powell that accuses him of lying to Congress last year about the Fed's $2.5 billion renovation of his headquarters. Imagine to update a little building, and it is a little building, internally. He authorized spending $2.5 billion of your taxpayer dollars. And there's nothing structural that needs to be done. It's all decoration. You could buy the Mona Lisa 100 times over for that price. So it's good that we're investigating this. In January, Trump nominated former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh to replace Powell, but North Carolina Republican Senator Tom Tillis is a key member of the committee that approves Fed nominees. He said that he would not vote to confirm Warsh until the Powell probe has concluded. Well, Americans faced a midnight deadline for their 2025 tax returns. Hope you got it in by midnight last night. But the refunds that await the majority of taxpayers are larger on average than a year ago, with taxpayers receiving higher refunds overall. The estimated average refund for 2026 is almost $3,600. 73% of taxpayers will be getting money back. That's above the record set in 2022 of $3,200. The larger refunds come following the enactment of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which extended a host of tax policies that were to expire and included new policies aimed at providing tax relief for income from tips and overtime, Social Security, and other provisions like the auto loan interest deduction for new U.S.-made cars. Never before could you get a deduction for buying a car. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent issued a veiled warning to gas stations that jacked up the prices on consumers under the guise of global oil supply concerns. President Trump will be watching you. Bessent said, what went up must now come down. The U.S. does not get its oil from the Middle East, and the U.S. supply is extremely high. So high, by the way, that we are now exporting 20 million barrels to countries worried about getting oil from the Middle East. So there is no reason for gas prices to be jumping here in spite of uncertainty in the Strait of Hormuz. It's actually been a boon for U.S. oil companies. So Trump announced that he believes we're very close to the end of a war with Iran, and Bessent said that he believes gas prices will be back under $3 a gallon by or before September. That sent stocks way higher yesterday. The S&P 500 rose to a new all-time high. It was at its first record high since January, closing above 7,000 for the first time in history. The NASDAQ 100 rose over 1%. Severe thunderstorms tore across parts of the Midwest the last few days, producing more than 2 dozen tornadoes and lots of destructive hail. There was flooding in Michigan and Wisconsin, with rivers surging to near record levels. In Iowa, the roof of a warehouse got blown off. Weather Service teams are expected to conduct surveys to confirm where tornadoes touch down and assign ratings. If you live in Southern California, you may have felt this. A 3.2 magnitude earthquake struck Southern California. The quake occurred about 15 miles southwest of Maricopa early yesterday at 7:51 California time in the morning. Shaking was considered weak for their standards, would have been strong for New Jersey standards, but may have been felt in nearby areas. No major damage or injuries were reported. New Jersey resident Jamie Ding continues his winning streak on the TV show Jeopardy! So far, Ding has won 23 consecutive games, God bless him, placing him in the top 5 all-time streaks. His total winnings have reached $644,000 so far. Ding got the win despite missing the final Jeopardy question. He's now tied with Mateo Roach for the number 5 spot in consecutive wins in the history of the game. The top record, by the way, remains with the show's host, as it should, Ken Jennings, who had 74 consecutive wins. Now, the good thing about Mr. Ding, he works for the state of New Jersey, so we're trying to get him on our show. Hopefully, we'll talk to him. The thing is, whatever happens on Jeopardy in the next few days or weeks was taped 6 weeks ago. So Mr. Ding knows if he's a winner, he, under contract, has to keep it quiet. I remember when I worked for ABC, when I used to work for Channel 7, once in a while, Good Morning America, we would have on some of these long winners like this, like Ken Jennings. And he knew at that point that he was the big winner, but he couldn't say. He had to pretend he was still in that moment of the show that you're seeing on TV, which is 6 weeks ago. So it must be very difficult knowing if you won or lost and sitting there and, yeah, well, I can't really talk about it. We hope Mr. Ding, a New Jersey guy, we hope he went all the way and wins big. Just keep watching and you'll find out. 13 minutes past the hour. When we return, younger adults are being diagnosed with colon cancer more than ever before, raising serious concerns among doctors and health experts. We'll talk about it. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with another hot forecast, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato, now live on the East Coast and the West Coast and live in FLA. Don't go away. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Thursday. We're live in New Jersey and New York, and now we welcome Los Angeles and southern Florida, the rest of Florida. We're on the whole state, in fact, not just southern Florida. It is 15 minutes past the hour. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So, Mike, let me get this right. It was 943 degrees yesterday in New Jersey. Did I get that right?
943. Yeah, it was hot. It was a real hot one. And it stays hot going into this afternoon. Another round of heat as this heat dome. If you were to look at it from the side, it looks like this big high pressure bowl on top of New Jersey that's allowing for this heat to remain trapped over us and keeping our skies clear, but our weather hot into tomorrow with another round of 90-degree expected into the afternoon. With those temperatures that are anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees above average, we broke temperature records yesterday, on track again to tie them today. With the rain that doesn't arrive until later on this weekend, it's dry going forward into the first half of the weekend. But then I think by Sunday we could see some wet weather, and then it cools down into next week. Monday and Tuesday drying out, and with that cool weather that comes in, keeping an eye on the storms that right now are across the Midwest, creating some severe weather. That's what arrives in the form of some showers by Sunday. Way out west in California, we're doing okay, just clear sky, but it's all of that warmth out east that's making us think, is it really April or is it more like summer? So this taste of summer doesn't last long. We'll give you the details of when it ends coming up in a few minutes.
Yes, indeed, we will. Thank you, sir, and appreciate it. It is 17 minutes past the hour. Right now, we have a temperature of 62 degrees in Trenton, 65 degrees northern New Jersey. And we have, let's see, of course, my LA camera just went down. Let's see if I can bring it back up. Sorry, folks. Give me a sec. There we go. And we have got it. And we have a lot of traffic to tell you about in the area right now. On 78, we have a crash westbound east of exit 29, which is 206 in Bridgewater Township. Left lane is closed. We have a crash on the Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound south of the Northern Mixing Bowl in Ridgefield. All lanes are open. There's a vehicle right now on the right shoulder, so just be aware of that. We also have a crash now on the Pulaski Skyway. It is eastbound by Tenley Circle in Jersey City, right lane of 2 lanes closed. And on 21, there's a crash northbound, north of East 3rd in Newark, all lanes open. Route 30 has a traffic signal down southbound by 690 in Berlin, all lanes are open. Area airport, major long-term parking facilities, all at 95 to 100% capacity. So please make sure you reserve a parking space if you're driving yourself to the airport. Mass transit right now to tell you about, we have an issue with NJ Transit. Earlier, there was a train stuck in one of the tunnels. It has been cleared, but there might be some residual delays to be aware of. Also, on your Hudson River crossings, Lincoln is now reporting 30 minutes, 20 minutes at the Holland. GWB upper and lower levels rather slow. This is 35 to 40, upper level on the right, lower on the left. To the West Coast we go now, and we have a problem with a crash. No injuries, fortunately, though, in West LA on the 405 at Church Lane. We have a crash also in South LA, East Florence at Graham, and we have a collision that just happened in West LA on the 105 at Crenshaw Boulevard. Gee whiz, it is the middle of the night in LA, 418. What is going on? Again, 418 LA, 718 East Coast. And there's an increasing number of young adults being diagnosed with colon cancer. And that is, of course, raising serious health concerns among experts. Now, recent high profile diagnoses, including actor James Vanderbeek, are helping bring more attention to the trend. It's not something a lot of people feel comfortable talking about, but they should. Experts say early symptoms are often overlooked, delaying treatment. Dr. Abhishek Kumar is a board certified medical oncologist, meaning he specializes in cancer. We say good morning to Dr. Kumar. Good to have you on, sir.
Pleasure to be here, Ken. Thank you.
You bet. So now, what could be driving these increased colon cancer diagnoses among younger people? Do we have any clue at this point?
It's likely multifactorial. There's a number of different things that can be contributory. People are a lot more sedentary than they used to be, say, 50 years ago. In addition, people are eating a lot more processed foods. And on top of that, people are oftentimes ignoring symptoms because they figure that they're too young for cancer. And if they're having any blood in the stool, they're not getting it checked out.
Yeah, doctor, I've told this story before on the show, just a little over a year, no, about a year ago. A very dear friend of mine who's a nurse had colon cancer. She ignored the symptoms. This is a registered nurse. She ignored the symptoms. It was she was or ended up diagnosed during COVID. So I think she was so busy helping everyone else that she didn't want to even take time for herself, and she just died. And it breaks my heart because here this is a professional and she ignored the symptoms. So this is why I'm so thrilled that you are getting out there and others like you and just warning people beware because this is so preventable, right? The earlier we catch symptoms of potential colon cancer, the more treatable it is. Am I correct?
That's absolutely correct, Ken. If we catch colon cancer early, oftentimes you can surgically cut it out and get rid of it, cure it forever. Whereas if you catch it later, if you catch it particularly in a stage 4 sense, then you can still treat it, and the treatments have certainly gotten better. But oftentimes, unfortunately, it's no longer curable. That's why prevention and catching it early are key.
And then once you get to the point where if you potentially have to you end up with a colostomy bag, if you get into those if you're lucky enough to survive, if you wait that long, don't wait that long is the key. Now, my dad had polyps for many years when he was in his 50s on. So I've been getting colonoscopy since I'm 40. And it's nothing for anybody who thinks, oh, it's nothing. Get your call, and now you have other tests that you could take. The Cologuard test, right? Which, if you're not a major candidate of a major risk factor, you could get those tests too. Is this something that doctors are finally sitting down and speaking to their patients about, or are they still not in tune with the fact that this is a rising cancer?
It's one of those things, Ken, that as time goes on, we're seeing a greater incidence in younger and younger patients, and there has to be a mentality shift. As patients are getting diagnosed at younger ages, oftentimes in their 40s or even in their 30s, both physicians as well as patients need to be really mindful about any sort of warning signs or symptoms, any blood in the stool, changes in stool caliber, any sudden weight loss, iron deficiency anemia. So it's really key to be mindful, and we're seeing an increasing awareness.
So now I'm glad you just touched on some of the symptoms. Certainly blood in the stool. And I know people like I had this conversation with friends and they're like, I don't look at it. I mean, it's just like being stupid about it. And I said, well, that's to your peril. It's not that you're taking pictures and putting them on the internet. It's and not to be disgusting, but this is something that needs to be discussed. We're talking about take a glance, make sure that, as the doctor said, there isn't a change in size, that there isn't a change in color, that there isn't a change in if you have see blood and you could see blood spots on it. And if you do, then talk to your doctor about it. It's really that simple, right?
Absolutely. Really don't want to bet your life that it's only hemorrhoids if you notice any frank blood in your stool. Go and have it checked out. Prevention is key. The best cancer story is the one that we prevent.
And then let's even go how about we go a little farther? How about we say, check your diet on a regular basis. Make sure you're not eating all the processed foods. Make sure you're getting the fiber and the fresh vegetables. Make sure you're doing some exercise. And again, I have friends in high school who were like, buff. Now I'm 58 years old, and most of those friends are enormous. I'm the guy that lost weight and got into shape as I got older, and they all got obese. Seriously, I had a reunion not long ago, and I looked around. I'm like, they didn't recognize me. I didn't recognize them because all the football players are all like 500 pounds. And I went from 360 to 180. And I'm looking at them thinking, my gosh, this is when you got to get into shape. You have to stay in shape when you get older. So, how important is it that as you age, and we're talking, you have cases in your 30s, their 30s and 40s, but as you age is when you really have to watch your diet and exercise, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You're on the right track, Ken. We're seeing a crisis, an obesity crisis throughout the country. People are eating more and more processed foods. They're exercising less. They're more sedentary. And all of this collectively is unfortunately making people more and more obese. And that increases the risk for a plethora of cancers as well as heart disease and diabetes. So it's important to stay active and avoid becoming excessively overweight.
Now you're a board certified oncologist doctor. Should people at the first signs just go to their general practitioner first and let the general practitioner decide whether they need to go to a gastroenterologist or an oncologist, et cetera?
Absolutely. The primary care physicians are a great place to start because they have a broad overview of medicine as a whole. They can investigate, they can do blood tests, but if there are any sort of warning symptoms, the biggest barrier is making it to that primary care physician. And so if you're able to do that, the workup can be started. You can be referred out to gastroenterology. You can get that colonoscopy done and rule out anything dangerous like a colon cancer. Maybe it is just hemorrhoids, but you're not going to know for sure unless you get it checked out.
And I'm just curious, at what point, if someone does have colon cancer, do they work both with an oncologist and a gastroenterologist?
Typically, they will first see their primary, but that's not always the case. And then afterwards, if there's reason to get a colonoscopy, they'll get a colonoscopy either for screening or because of alarm symptoms. And then once the diagnosis is made, once you confirm that there is a cancer, that's typically when the oncologist gets involved. But it doesn't always work out exactly that way. That's just the typical route.
Well, I remember when I was heavier, and I remember going to, therapists who used to try to coach me into just eating my way down, and it did help, by the way. But they used to say, if you go food shopping, do the perimeter of the grocery store, right? The perimeters where you have the fresh veggies, the produce, that you can get lean meats. If you want to go, if you have the money and you can, it's always preferable to go organic because now you don't have pesticides sprayed on your stuff. You're not dealing with preservatives. And if you have a farmer's market, that's always your best bet too. And I mean, look, as I used to tell my friends as they were gaining and I was losing weight, if you just do it a day or two a week, just change your diet to something that is natural and high in fiber and vegetables and whatnot, just 1 or 2 days a week and get started that way. I see people at work at their desk 12 and 14 hours a day and they're eating out of plastic bags. And that
Mm.
is not good for our long-term health, whether it's from weight or cancer. Am I right there, doctor?
You're absolutely right. I mean, I like my occasional pizza and French fries from time to time, but
Right.
the majority of people's diets should really consist of whole foods. Things are unprocessed, things that you can buy in a farmer's market or the periphery of the supermarket, as you mentioned. So that should really take priority. It really keeps your gut health good and also kind of keeps your weight at reasonable levels too.
Well, I'm so glad we had you on. Doctor, is there a website where people can get more information?
Sure. There's my medical website, which is at Regional Cancer Care. You can put in my name, or there's avikumarmd.com as well.
Fantastic. Board certified oncologist, Dr. Abhishek Kumar. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Very important topic, and we appreciate you being here.
Pleasure, Ken. Thank you.
You bet, sir. 28 minutes past the hour. When we come back, April is Autism Awareness Month. We'll talk about a New Jersey event that you'll definitely want to check out. Phone lines are open too. We'll take your calls 888-658-0234. Mornings with Ken Rosato back in 2. Good morning. It's 30 minutes past the hour, Thursday, April 16th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and the West Coast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you.
Good morning,
There you are,
Ken.
Mike.
It's the
How are you,
new
sir?
day, new day. Yeah, we're gonna start off with some clear sky. Ken, were you standing outside yesterday under the sunshine, enjoying all that beautiful
Not
weather?
only standing, I was thinking about going back to the Polly Walnuts days of the reflector and going out there with the tin foil. We called it tin foil back then. It wasn't made of tin; it was made of aluminum, but we called it tin foil.
Yeah, yeah. Well, loading the lumber into the back of the SUV yesterday, I felt kind of like those Tony Soprano, ish things. It felt great. It felt great. Yet with a day today to do the outdoor projects, get the gardening done, it feels like summer. Get the flowers in the ground, but be mindful that there will still be some cold mornings ahead next week. So it's still a little too early to plant in ground. You want to put the potted plants outside, sure, but they may have to come in some nights next week with another round of cold weather arriving later on in the week next week, probably Wednesday, Thursday timeframe. Some parts of New Jersey could get down to around the freezing mark. It's this warm weather that we enjoy for the next few days until the cold weather returns by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday timeframe. And with that, the tree pollen level remains very high. You've been noticing the maybe extra sniffles if you're a tree allergy sufferer over the last few days. Well, that continues into today and tomorrow. Here's the cold front that starts to dry us out, relieves us of the humidity by Friday. Doesn't bring much in the way of rain, but it's this front off to the west that arrives by Sunday that will ultimately dry us out, cool us down, and it's all this chilly weather across the Midwest that arrives for the weekend and starts to send us back down to average temperatures as a clear sky sets up for most of the country. It's going to be very quiet going into Monday and Tuesday. Out west, also quiet there. Next front moves in along the west coast, providing some wet weather there. Zooming into that area, it's going to be pretty quiet until that time. So Thursday, Friday, into today and tomorrow, clear sky right down towards Southern California, and then into the weekend, that's when the next weather system starts to move its way in. You can see it right here, coming in off of the Pacific with that cold front. That will provide some wet weather arriving probably early Monday, Tuesday timeframe to places up by San Francisco, and then eventually working down the rest of the coast. So we like clear sky across the country, but do we like the chill that returns with it? That is the question. We'll see if we can answer that coming up in our next weather update.
The chill that keeps on giving. All right. Thank you very much, Mike. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. It is 62 degrees in Trenton. It is 65 degrees now, northern New Jersey, 65 degrees in Vineland, and it's degrees at Cape May. A little chill off the ocean there, causing that. Let's look at some of the traffic to tell you about, shall we, in the area. We have problems now on the Pulaski Skyway. Crash on the Pulaski eastbound by Tunley Circle in Jersey City. One right lane is closed. Let's go over to Route 21, shall we? We have a video cam of that. Crash on 21 northbound, north of East 3rd in Newark. All lanes open, but you can see the little buildup of traffic coming towards you as a result of that. On Route 30, we have a traffic signal down southbound by Route 690 in Berlin. All lanes are open, but that is causing problems. Crash on the Turnpike, Eastern Spur, northbound, south of the Northern Mixing Bowl in Ridgefield. All lanes open. Vehicle now off to the right shoulder. Earlier, NJ Transit issue that we had, a train had broken down in one of the tubes, one of the tunnels. That has been cleared up, but there might be some residual delays of trains making their way into the city as a result of that earlier incident. And your Hudson River crossings, Lincoln is now 35 minutes in, 25 of the Holland. We go to the GWB, upper and lower levels jamming. Upper level on the right, lower on the left, 40 to 45 minutes into Manhattan. To the west coast we go. We have a collision in West LA. No injuries, though, on the 405 at Church Lane. We also have a collision reported in South LA at East Florence and Graham, and a crash that just happened in West LA at the 105 and Crenshaw Boulevard. It is 34 minutes past the hour. April is Autism Awareness Month, and there's a New Jersey event bringing the community together. Signature Fitness is hosting its annual Fit for Autism event. It's this Saturday, April 18th in Belleville. I used to live in Belleville, nice town. To talk about it is William Blazeski, who is Manager of Operations and Media Director at Signature Fitness. We say good morning to you, William.
Good morning. How you doing, Ken?
Great. Nice to have you on. And so how did the Fit for Autism event get started, and what can people expect if they go?
Well, this is actually our sixth annual year doing our Fit for Autism event. We started with a retired IFBB pro. His name is Victor Martinez. And if you who are in the fitness community may have heard of the Mr. Olympia competition, he placed
Hmm.
as high as second, but he is crucial and amazing in the fitness community. And he is personally affected by autism. I believe it's 2 or 3 of his children do have autism. So it's something that's close to home to him. So he partnered with us. And now we also work with the Belleville PA and Ariana's Angels, which is a local autism organization. So all of the funds that get donated and brought together that day go directly back into our local community.
Do you also have people with autism coming in to work out who are part of it? So that, I mean, because people with autism are all over the spectrum, right? You have some people who are very highly functional. So I would imagine you would have that. I'm assuming some people who would come who have autism.
We do. We do have a few individuals who are on different parts of the spectrum. I know even one of our employees, who's a very good friend of mine, is on the spectrum as well. And we encourage them to lift weights, exercise, because just as you were talking with the doctor previously, no matter whether you're on the spectrum or not, health is our number one priority.
Amen to that. Right. No matter what, because they still have a body they got to take care of, period. And I love that you're doing this because of what it does for the community. Belleville's a great town. I love Bell. I lived there for 8 years. It was a fantastic place. I'm still best friends, literally like go vacation friends with people I lived near in Belleville. Fantastic place. So how did that impact, how does that impact the community when you see folks coming out to an event like this?
Well, just to talk about some statistics, 1 in 30 children approximately are affected with autism in New Jersey every single year. And we have about 38,000 residents in Belleville. So that's just about 1,200 children will be diagnosed directly in our town every year. So this brings us all together under one roof. We have the entire street shut down in front of Signature Fitness. We have vendors. We have bouncy houses for kids. We have a fire truck pull, competitions, not just for us, but for the children as well. So everybody comes together, all for the one cause of spreading autism awareness.
I love it. I love it. You got the Belleville PBA coming out, and you mentioned the IFBB Pro Victor Martinez. He's coming out, so he's like a serious bodybuilder. For those of IFBB, by the way, International Fitness and Bodybuilding Federation. So that's kind of cool for people to come out and see somebody like that. You know, at Signature, and Signature is a serious workout place. I used to love. I know exactly where you guys are because I lived not too far from there when I lived in Belleville, and Signature is like the place where if you're starting out, someone will help you out. But if you're a serious workout guy, that's the place to go. This isn't where the pretty machines are there and you just go to have a cocktail and talk with your friends. This is where if you want to work out and get healthy, that's where you go. And now this event supports Ariana's Angels. Talk about the impact that those funds are going to have on Ariana's Angels.
Yeah, so Ariana's Angels works directly within the Belleville community. So unfortunately, a lot of the times with many of these charitable events, you don't really know where everything that you raise goes, where the funds go. This goes directly through our Belleville PBA to Ariana's Angels, helping families in the Belleville community who are affected with autism. So it's great to see the one-to-one. We raise the money, and then you can see it. They're helping all those families, whether it's with groceries or needs or special care that these individuals may need. So it goes right from us right to them. So please come out April 18th.
Yeah, people don't realize, I think, that when you have a child diagnosed with autism, there is so much special medical care that's needed because if autism is caught early enough, and it's really about a rewiring of the brain, right? The way the brain responds to stimuli. And that's why people are all over the spectrum because depending on the part of the brain that needs rewiring, everybody's a little different. And we've had doctors on talking about it, but it requires going to specialists. It requires, you know, parents taking time off from work and having to travel and pay for parking and it gets expensive. You know, that people who have a child that isn't on the spectrum don't have those added expenses. So it's beautiful that you're helping to raise money for these people who could use every penny in taking care of their kids. So it must have been so important for you to create inclusive events like this for individuals and families so that everybody feels like they are part of the community and making Signature sort of like that anchor place for everybody to come together.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. As you had mentioned, Belleville, even though we have, like I said, 38,000 residents, we are a tight-knit community. We're very diverse, and we pride ourselves that Signature Fitness has become this local hub of health, wellness, bodybuilding, and everybody coming together under one roof. You know, we're like 60,000 square feet, continuing to grow. But the fact that we can work with Victor Martinez, the Belleville PBA, and Ariana's Angels just shows that we can keep moving the lever forward in terms of spreading autism awareness, getting those funds together, and helping those families in need.
Yeah, and I just find it ironic that Belleville, home of La Sicilia, which if you live in Belleville, you know La Sicilia. One of my I used to say, I used to love it when I worked at Channel 7. They used to say, you know, when you walk into La Sicilia, you sit wherever you could sit. And I used to just sit down. That's where I used to meet anybody and everybody and say, I don't know, that Ken Rosato eats pizza. I'm like, eat pizza. I live on pizza. I got pizza in my blood. I'm type pizza O. But it's good to see that you could eat your pizza and then go over to Signature Fitness and work out and stay in shape. That's important. For people who are not necessarily familiar with autism, what do you hope they take away from attending on this special day?
I actually think the main thing that they could and should focus on is that whether someone is on the spectrum or not, you are capable to do so much more. We have people, as I said, one of our employees is on the spectrum and he just did his first powerlifting meet. You are capable of so much if you just put your mind to it, whether you're on the spectrum or not. So come out, see that no matter what quote unquote disability or disadvantage, as some people may say, you may have, there's always room for you to grow, and you'll see it in droves here on April 18th. We're going to have the entire community together. So just remember that just because someone's on the spectrum doesn't mean that they're not capable of doing amazing things.
Amen to that. I know a guy who's the head of I don't know if he wants to be, you know, mentioned, outed this way, but I'm not going to mention his name, but on a big community on Long Island, he is the director of their parks department for the entire town of like 80, 90,000 people. And he's been running it for years. He's got it. So, you know, you can live a life with everybody else if you're on the spectrum. I love what you're doing. What's a website for more information, please?
So the number one place to go is actually our Instagram, which is Signature Fitness NJ. We have everything posted there. But if you do want to just check out more about the gym, it's signaturefitnessnj.com.
The annual Fit for Autism event at Signature Fitness in Belleville this Saturday, April 18th. William Blazeski, Manager of Operations and Media Director. You're an awesome guy. Thank you for doing this, and we appreciate you coming on this morning.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much, Ken.
My pleasure. Thank you. 43 minutes past the hour. When we come back, News Nation's Elizabeth Pran weighs in on the Eric Swalwell mess. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says more heat for the Northeast. We're coming back in 2 minutes. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. With Ken Rosato, 45 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Good morning to you, Mr. Meteorologist, Sir Mike Favetta. The forecast still looking nice and warm and toasty for the Northeast while they are in the throes of 57 degrees in SoCal right now.
I know, I know. So chilly down there. But if you find yourself along the coast here in New Jersey, Ken, you'll get a really chilly breeze. That will make it feel like you're in Southern California. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds without sitting on the 5.5 hour flight to LAX. How about that? With the clear sky right now out in LA, you see the clouds starting to move back in. There's that morning marine layer starting off just before sunrise for you. But out east here, back closer to home, it's a lovely southwesterly breeze that keeps us clear in through this afternoon. Any of these showers and storms stayed well to our west overnight and will likely be that way into the first part of the weekend. Sunday is our next opportunity for some rain. Before that, we get nice and hot yet again. So the futurecast across the country shows that cold front moving east, allowing for that rain to arrive by Sunday. Until that time, though, it'll stay nice and clear and warm. Start to cool things down into Sunday, and then by Monday and Tuesday, a little bit of a chill returns with passing clouds, a little bit of a shower. I mean, hey, no snow, right? It could be worse going into the next few afternoons. The futurecast showing that very warm weather, keeping some storms away. Our Friday forecast is slightly cooler. I still think we could make it into the upper 80s at the very least tomorrow. And then by the weekend, clouds take over for Saturday afternoon. The rain that lingers for Sunday makes it pretty wet. And then by Monday, we're back to clear sky, but drying and cooler. We're actually slightly cooler if you find yourself going, say, to New England for the end of the month. Slightly cooler than average conditions there, but the warm up remains down across the southeast with that hot weather in Florida. And then we're equal chances of wet weather going into the first half of the second half of April, that is, with the dry weather prevailing over New England and most of that cool weather, Ken, down across the southeast.
All right, sir. Oh, I was just thinking about it. Hey, just curious. Now, you talked about yesterday, you talked about some heat waves. And I know if you don't hit 90 degrees for 3 days, it ain't a heat wave. I'm just curious, like down in Ecuador, do they have heat waves all the time, or do they just not count them because it's so
No,
hot
they
there
do.
now?
So
It's
that
normal.
90 degree, it's a very New York thing. The 90 degrees of 3 days in a row. It's a very New York thing. If you head to Arizona, for instance, where it gets to 100 just about every day for a solid stretch in the summertime, they have their own definition of a heat wave too. So it's very regional.
Gotcha. I did not know. See, I learned something new from Mr. Mike every time we talk. All right, sir. We'll check back. Thank you as always.
You bet.
62 degrees in Trenton. It is 65 degrees northern New Jersey, 60 degrees Cape May. We look at the West Coast, 57, Los Angeles, 57 also in San Diego, and we check our traffic. We have a crash on Route 42 right now, northbound exit 10A, and that is at Black Horse Pike in Gloucester Township. One left lane closed. The Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 135 has a crash at Central Ave and Clark. All lanes still open. And we have a water main break now at 206 northbound north of 195 Hamilton Township. Right shoulder's closed. Pulaski Skyway has a crash eastbound by Tunley Circle in Jersey City. Right lane closed. Traffic signal down, and that's on Route 30 southbound at 690 in Berlin. All lanes are currently open. And on the Jersey Turnpike, we had an issue, and that is over by Interchange 13, just off to the shoulder, not a big deal. Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland tunnels, both reporting 30 minutes in. GWB upper and lower levels, 8095 approach, upper level on the right, lower on the left, and now 45 minutes delayed getting into Manhattan. We also want to remind you, NJ Transit is reporting they had an earlier stall out of one of their trains in the tunnel. That's been cleared, but there might be some residual delays on NJ Transit heading into Manhattan. We have a collision now on the West Coast, East LA at the 710 and Alondra Boulevard off ramp. Also a crash in South LA at East Florence and Graham. And we have another collision. And this is in West LA at the 105 and Crenshaw Boulevard. Well, here to talk about the issues this morning of Eric Swalwell, and this has been going on in the news, is Elizabeth Pratt, a journalist, mom, and wife, host of the Raising America podcast. You can see her every week at this time here on Mornings. We say welcome and good morning to you, my friend Elizabeth.
Ken, when is it enough? When is it enough
It's never.
It's never enough. And I
Excuse
want
me.
to preface this, Ken, this is not a Republican or a Democrat issue,
No.
right? We're talking about, I mean, you and I would have this conversation regardless of who was making headlines. But let's just look at the history of Swalwell. This is someone who was vocal during the Me Too movement. This is someone who has promoted women's rights. Workplace protections, we've seen him very outspoken about staffers and young professionals in politics, raising and protecting the next generation, really just positioning himself as a cleaner, more transparent voice in leadership. And if you look at some of these accusations, and not to say that a one-off would be okay, right? We would still be talking about a one-off. There's right around 5 women who are coming out, possibly more accusers. And the most recent one, which we all watched this press conference out of, I mean, it took your breath away. This woman who said that an incident happened back in 2018. She had aspirations to be in politics. She had one glass of wine. She was in and out of consciousness. What she said was she was raped in a hotel room. And then you have some who say, well, there wasn't a rape kit. And she said that during her press conference. She said essentially she went to counseling. She told friends, there was a journal. There is a paper trail to this incident. So we're not talking a he said, she said, although, yes, there. Yeah, go ahead, Ken. I mean, it's
if I may,
Yeah.
if I may, the hotel that she claims that this occurred in, Eric Swalwell, they found receipts that he purchased cocktails and things at that hotel that very day. See, unlike the accusations that occurred for the Supreme Court nomination years ago, which were, well, we don't remember what year, we don't remember where it was. In this case, she knew exactly. How would she know that he was there at that moment on that date and that he purchased alcohol? So it was very specific. She definitely kept a diary, and this is where it gets awful. That a man, I guess, felt he was in such control and in so much power that he could get away with anything, and nobody would do a thing about it. And he was allegedly here, he's being accused of, and of course innocent till proven guilty, but of being the ultimate predator of women, thinking, you know what, you're lucky to have me. And that was sort of the attitude that it appears he allegedly was putting forward.
And you're wondering what's the fallout going to be? Are we going to see the House Ethics Committee just take this head on? Are we going to see criminal charges out of Manhattan? What is going to be the fallout? Is he really going to be suffering the consequences and seeing justice? And then I was going to ask you, because I thought to myself, I got to present Ken with some options. How can we change the narrative? I mean, look at the approval rating for members of Congress. And we talk to men and women who are running this midterm cycle. And the first thing I say to them is, why? Why are you doing this? So my question to you would be, should we see just blanket term limits? Should we see campaign finance reform? Maybe even banning or restricting stock trading? I'm doing everything I can in my little lady brain to figure out how can we let these politicians know and remind them that they work for us. That it is our
First of all, if that's a little lady brain, then men's brains are way smaller. So let's just clarify that, number one. Number two, here's the thing. I agree to all of the above. I think, when they set up the idea, when the founding parents, I'll say not just fathers, but the founding parents set up this government, the idea was that you were a citizen a politician. You were supposed to come for 2 years and then go back and run your little corner store. It was not supposed to be a career. It wasn't supposed to be a stepping stone to becoming senator and then whatever else. That's what it was supposed to be. So I am all for the idea of term limits and certainly no trading at that point. And then, of course, how about we eliminate the slush fund that Congress has to squash rumors of sexual misconduct that are often not just rumors? And by the way, this wasn't just a Democrat Swalwell. Tony Gonzalez, a Republican, did something almost as disgusting. I say almost because it wasn't criminal, but it was just as disgusting. And that he was messing around, allegedly, with a married woman, and he got her they ended up so in love, or at least she was with him, and then he cut her out. He cut her out, and she ended up lighting herself on fire. She had a husband, she had a family, and she is dead. And Gonzalez was denying it like a dirtbag. So I'm glad he resigned as well. And there are 2 more, one Republican, one Democrat. This is a Congress problem. This isn't a Republican or a Democrat problem. And I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a power thing. It goes to their heads. And then you have, unfortunately, though, specifically on the Democrat side, you had the likes of a Nancy Pelosi, who basically was the king or queen maker. And if you are under her umbrella of protection and played by her rules, you can get away with everything, which is why we see stuff like this happening with the likes of an Eric Swalwell. But then you cross her, you don't vote the right way, or you run for governor when she wants somebody else to become governor of California, which appears to be the case here, and she cuts you out and puts you under the bus like you're yesterday's trash.
And you know what? I actually think you and I talk about social media and what's happened even to the news industry. And I will say that that is a little bit of sunshine here. I really think that you can't get away with it anymore. I think people have access to smartphones. And I think, okay, so we see the Me Too movement, but then we see women who are saying, wait a second, this happened to me. I was afraid to speak out, and now I'm speaking out. And I think that that is the only silver lining, is that everyone is getting exposed. I hope that they continue to get exposed, and that'll be the small benefits of everyone having what essentially is a computer in their hand. But I will tell you, when we talk to these men and women across the country, Ken, it's the ones that are running grassroots campaigns against these behemoth candidates that don't see the microphone. And I think that's one of the things that's most frustrating when we cover these midterms, is that those ones that have the best intentions sometimes don't get there. And the ones who perhaps have malintentions are in power. I don't mean to leave you on a negative note, and I think this supports what you were saying, but we're seeing it.
I don't think it's negative at all. Yeah, I think people have to wake up, and the old days of pressing flesh and talking to the person running for office, I think you need to look into somebody's eyes and say, why do you want to do this? Just like you said, look into their eyes and say, what do you want to do this? Why? And get an answer. And based on that response, that's how you make your judgment. And again, I don't care about party. I had a friend of mine who was an arch leftist, and I tease her all the time. Her name is Nancy. I won't mention her last name, but I remember I was a staunch libertarian conservative, and she was an arch leftist. Yet there were about 60% of the causes that I agreed with her right down the line. I supported her. I went out and campaigned for her. She turned out to be a wonderful legislator. So it is, you have to base it on the individual, not the party, and look them in the eye and shake their hands. But pray to God that we don't have a case like a Swalwell, who, again, innocent until proven guilty. But now you have the LA DA investigating him for rape. You have Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, investigating for sexual assault allegations. It is scary what these women had to go through. And then, of course, you have campaign funds allegedly being used to pay for a Brazilian live-in nanny in his home. Where does it end? I mean, to just think that we get away with so much.
Where do we go with the story?
And media knew about this since 2019, but kept their mouths shut. Why? Why? Is it because if you get along and you keep your mouth shut, then maybe you'll get inside dirt, so you might as well just not go after the king? Because if you shoot and you miss, the king squashes you?
You know what it reminds me of? Did you ever watch The Wire? Did you ever watch The Wire?
Amazing show.
I tell my husband sometime, I said, are we watching The Wire? We lived in Baltimore for 10 years. My husband played for the Orioles. And I said, should we rewatch it? I mean, or should we just look at the news? There we go.
There you go. And it's true. All right. What's coming up with this week's Saving America podcast?
So we are talking Roblox, which is a parental issue. We talked to the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Attorney General Coleman is just one of the states suing Roblox. So I reached out to them, and they sat down for an interview with me. We're going to be airing that tomorrow. A lot of parents are saying, wait a second, our kids are entering what should be a gaming platform, and maybe they're encountering what could be someone who is looking to exploit them. Two sides to the story. We'll present it, and then, of course, your viewers can decide.
Of course, today is New Jersey's special election for those who haven't voted yet. And you had one of the candidates on. I know you had
Analia Mahia. Yeah.
So this is a big one. And by the way, yes, it is a big deal. Analia is supported by AOC. And then Joe Hathaway, whom we've had on the show. We invited Analia, by the way, on our show, too. And we didn't get a response. So just so that people don't think that we just invited Joe, we invited both on. We always do. But we'll see what happens. The early votes are tied. That's usually the Republicans lag on early voting. Right now, right down the line, it's tied. So this is, everyone thought the Democrats were going to walk away with it. This is the seat formerly held by current Governor Mikey Sherrill. We'll see what happens. We should know by today. Journalist, mom, wife, good friend, host of the Raising America podcast, which you can find on YouTube, News Nation's Elizabeth Pran. We adore you. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Tim. See you next week.
You bet. All right. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you're watching ONNJ on New Jersey, we'll be back with live New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Back in 2. Good morning. It's 8 a.m. Thursday, April 16th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Special election day today. If you didn't realize, make sure you take the time to vote if you're in the 11th congressional district. If you're not sure what congressional district you're in, ask your phone. Say, hey, GOOGLE, what congressional district am I in? And it'll tell you. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234. Hot today, sun and clouds near record high temps. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, though, you know all the details. So let's go to you, sir.
Yeah, NJ11, right? That's where the special election is. That's it. That's it.
Right.
It's Mikey
This
Sherrill's
was
old
this was the
district.
seat. Right. This was the seat that then Representative Mikey Sherrill held. But
hmm
this was a seat that was always a moderate Republican seat.
Oh my
Frelinghuysen
gosh, it was
held that
Frelinghuysen
seat
for
for
decades. Yeah,
decades, right? And
yeah.
and then it went as more and more people moved from New York out into that part of New Jersey, more
hmm
parts of Morris County, Essex County, etc. Suddenly, you saw it go from red to pink to light blue, blue, and now it feels like it's somewhere purple. It's right in the
Yeah,
middle because early voting is showing it's 50-50. So this is a nail
very
biter. I don't
interesting.
think people thought it was going to be. You have two great candidates, Anna Lilia Mejia, and who's running as a Democrat, and Joe Hathaway, who's running as a Republican. So go online, read about them, and make sure you get out and vote. I don't care who you're voting for, as long as you research the person and vote. Right? We want them to vote.
And it's a great day to head out and vote, right? Got plenty of clear sky, beautiful weather this afternoon, warm this morning. We're already at 75 degrees at 8 a.m. in Newark. That feels like a June morning, 70 over toward Tom's River and a little bit cooler down along the shore, where even since yesterday we've warmed anywhere between 5 and 4 degrees. Now, throughout this afternoon, a little bit of a southwesterly breeze persists, keeping those coastal locations a little bit milder, but that wind switches direction by this time tomorrow, so it'll start to feel cooler at the coast, whereas inland, I think we could pull off one more day of 90s. So here's our afternoon highs: 91 in Hackensack, 91 in Newark, 91 in Trenton, very warm inland. We have a few showers that occur later on tonight. It's the beginning of a front that tries to push on through. And then tomorrow, with a little bit of a northerly breeze that begins to lower the humidity, may only make it to the upper 80s, but still 83 in Trenton, cooler there at the coast, down into the 50s by the evening hours over at the coastline. And then by Saturday, that easterly breeze really starts to work its way through. So we'll only be in the 50s for highs at the coast and the 70s inland with all that clear sky. Then we head into Sunday, and that's where a couple of showers begin to return. So the second half of the weekend, wet right through the afternoon. It's not looking too dry. And then, whoa, that's a shock to the system. Back into the 30s, right around freezing Monday morning, 9 a.m., with the 40s at the coast. So some really chilly weather on its way back, making it feel like spring. Even those are like March temperatures. So we get a mix of all seasons heading into the next few days. Summer like today, spring like by Sunday, and then a little bit of a winter chill on the way for Monday, Ken.
I can't believe you're saying the words winter
Yeah,
chill. That
I
makes
know.
me cringe after having 90-degree temperatures. All right, Mike. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you. It is, am I seeing right? 70 in Trenton, 69 in northern New Jersey already. Wow, at 8:05 in the morning. Loving that. And it's a little cooler at Cape May, 66, 69 in Vineland. And we look at some traffic issues. We have a traffic signal down now. This is Route 30 westbound by Route 690 Berlin. All lanes are closed. We have a crash on Route 42 northbound at exit 10A, which is Black Horse Pike in Gloucester. Left shoulder closed there. Garden State Parkway crash northbound south of exit 135 Central Avenue in Clark. All lanes open though. Water main break on 206 northbound north of 195 Hamilton. Right shoulder is closed there. And we look at our Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland, both 35 minutes now. GWB upper and lower levels, 8095 approach, upper level on the right, lower on the left. We have 45 minutes into Manhattan. 8:06 is our time, and flag football is one of the fastest growing sports in the country. And this weekend, the excitement is coming to New Jersey. Kane University will host the Garden State Garden City Flag Football Classic. It's this Saturday, April 18th, bringing together top collegiate teams from across the country. Kelly Williams is the Vice President of Athletics and Recreation at Kane University. We say good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. It's great to have you on. And this is big. Tell us about the football classic and how it all came together.
Wow, as you said, this is very big. I think this is a moment in time that we're going to look back another, 5 to 10 years later and really have a smile about bringing, this opportunity for these young ladies to, showcase their skills here at Kane University, as part of the Garden City versus Garden State, flag football showcase. And, this came about, probably in January. We came back from being in Dubai, and we did a clinic, a flag football clinic over in Dubai, and we had it on our website. And the University of Montana's coach and athletic programs reached out to us and just commend us for our work, and they wanted to find out how they could make that trip over and set up a game. And that's where the conversations began. And we didn't know where it was going to go at that time, because at first they wanted us to travel out there, and we were like, financially we're not able to maybe swing it this year, but next year. And they said, listen, if we find support and ways to get out there, could you put us down on the schedule? And that's what we did. And we've been in contact with them, every up until this point, every month, talking about the logistics. And what makes this special is that we are also, we also have a team from Pennsylvania. We also have a team from New York. So the University of Montana, and from what we're gathering, talking to their staff, they've never been to the East Coast at all. And this is what makes it so unique. And once again, just the opportunity of our young ladies playing flag football across the country. They are now being exposed to different areas, and we're excited to be part of that at Kane University.
Yeah, Kelly, I have a friend of mine who went to St. Joseph's. I know St. Joseph's is taking part this weekend, and my
Absolutely.
buddy was right away saying, given all the props for St. Joseph's, I said, we'll see what happens. We'll see on Saturday. But for those who have never checked out flag football, who don't realize, I think you get an impression of, well, I watch NFL, flag football. Flag football is aggressive. And seeing some of the video I've seen
It,
online, I was blown away by how aggressive flag football is. It's just that you don't have the tackles that you would have with regular, quote unquote, regular football. But flag football is impressively aggressive.
No, it really is. It really highlights and showcase how talented, how smart, and how gifted our young ladies are. Because, as you mentioned, it's crossing every facet of the game in regards to the physicality and the speed of the game, and to be able to kind of see them shine and smile in that particular space. And flag football is a fun game. It's an easy game to follow. But it's so exciting because the pace and the energy and the way how the field is set up and the way how quick the game moves. So, if you are new to the game, I think you would watch it one or two times, and I think you will be hooked because it's
Yeah.
such an enjoyable, fast-paced sport to watch.
And it's really growing in popularity, right? What are you seeing at the collegiate level across the country now with it?
Well, I would tell you this, we were at the NCAA convention in January, and that was the talk of the convention, flag football. In fact, that it was voted on as a an emerging sport, which ultimately means in another year or so you will have a national championship in flag football across the NCAA. So it is a great opportunity for colleges to join this movement. It more importantly, it creates additional opportunities for young ladies to continue to follow their passion. And just just across the country, looking about 69,000 high school girls that are playing, and that's growing every day. And as a result of that, once again, you're creating opportunities. You're creating scholarship opportunities on the Division I and Division II levels in the near future, and even from a Division III perspective, where Kane University is, we are now getting young ladies an opportunity, in the near future, to travel and go across the country and play. So the opportunities are there, and more importantly, that is the topic and that is the movement from the NCAA of where they want flag football to be in the next couple of years, is one of the most popular young sports for young ladies.
And how important is it for Kane to host events like this for both the university and the entire community around Kane? Because you really are an epicenter for the community.
Ken, and I think that's apart from the community, component. I had the opportunity about a year and a half ago to sit and talk with Troy Vincent of the NFL, who I know from our days back growing up together, and he brought this attention to me about flag football, and at that point I was I wasn't quite sure, and what he shared with me is that, listen, hey Kelly, this is just one of the sports that you want to jump on. This is one of the sports that you want the community to get behind, and us bringing Kane University, bringing this opportunity here. We've reached out to high schools, we've reached out to rec programs, we've reached out to the surrounding area to let them know about this event, because once again, I'm hoping that there's going to be a young a young lady that's 10 years old that shows up on Saturday and says, hey, listen, I want to do that in high school, I want to do that in college. So our reach and being on the forefront as a state institution, being one of the first state universities to bring flag football to the collegiate level is exciting. It's something, once again, I think we're gonna look back. It builds relationships, and more importantly, it shows that women's flag football is here to stay, and you have a home at Kane if that's where you want to be.
And the ladies make up a majority of all college students nationwide now, so we gotta provide the opportunities for them in sports as well. The Garden State Garden City Flag Football Classic this Saturday, April 18th, Kane University. Kelly Williams, Vice President of Athletics and Recreation at Kane. Always a pleasure, sir. Good to have you on this morning. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. It is currently 68 degrees. NJ Pack is going to be hosting a free concert, jazz concert, the 26th. You will not want to miss it. We'll talk about it. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be back. English. We'll be back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 816. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, another hot one in store, but things are soon to
Mm-hmm.
change, aren't they?
Yeah, in about, say, 48 hours, it'll start to cool down, and then it gets a little cloudy, and then it gets a little rainy, and then it gets really cold by Monday. So all downhill in terms of temperature going into the week. I know it's like Elsa and Anna are coming to visit from Frozen. Lets you know, hey, you have young nieces. 90 degrees today in Mattawan, but it's a hot afternoon today throughout the end of the day. It stays nice and warm, even at the beaches. Not expected to see that cool down until tomorrow morning when that wind shifts. So So a couple of showers overnight just at the tippy top of New Jersey. Those have since passed by, and the sunshine today warming us into this afternoon. Hot weather prevails through the next few hours into the end of the day, but the cool down begins tomorrow. So we get another round of 90s, likely setting another day of temperature records here across New Jersey. By tomorrow, only 80s, and at the coast, much cooler, likely in the 50s and 60s, because with Saturday's easterly breeze, look at this cloud cover that comes in, making it feel really chilly. That will kind of set the tone for the rest of the weekend, especially with the 40s on the way by Sunday. 40s and rain, of stark contrast of what we've enjoyed. And then 30s by Monday morning. So a real chill setting up across New Jersey, making it feel nice and cold to start off next week. Now, after that rain ends on Sunday, we're pretty dry for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with a lovely round of sunshine that takes over. And then I think into next weekend, keeping an eye on what may deliver some late week showers, but that's a little far out in the future. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that it just stays a little farther to our south. 60s only on Saturday, but barely making it to 60 by Sunday. And I think this happens early on. Most of the day, Sunday just keeps temperatures tumbling into Monday, making it really chilly by the time we hit early next weekend.
All right, sir. Appreciate you. Just looking down, I'm writing down my scribble notes for accidents here. We have a whole bunch that just happened. But so for election day, and this for those who don't realize, today is the special election for congressional district in New Jersey 11, which is what Mikey Sherrill held, that seat before she ran for governor, became governor. And this is just to fill the office until this November, and then you'll have the regular election. But otherwise, that seat would be empty in Congress. So that's why we're having the special election today. So if you haven't voted, get out and vote. The weather will be perfect for it, right?
Yep, yes, it will.
All right, get out and vote. We have two people, Ana Lilia Mejia running as a Democrat, Joe Hathaway running as a Republican. Don't care who you're voting for, just research them and get out and vote. Mike, thank you very much, sir. We'll be checking back with you. 69 degrees now in northern New Jersey, 70 degrees in Trenton. And we look at traffic, and we do have a lot of it. That's why I was writing this down. Let's go to the Grand Central. Listen to me. The Garden State Parkway. I originally born and raised in New York. I have Grand Central on the brain. So you can see this just happened. Our Pam found this. This is at the this is 80 at the Garden State Parkway. Look at that breakdown. Now that was in the middle lane. They just got that over. That's ugly, and that's going to cause a big backup. So right now we're talking I-80 at the Garden State Parkway. You can see the breakdown there. It's impacting the left two lanes and the left shoulder. Just watch out for all that traffic building through there. She being Pam, excuse me, is going to switch over to our next Garden State Parkway issue. And this is at exit 62, which is in the Patterson area by Route 19. And this is what we have here. So let's see. Did they just remove it? They just removed it. No, they didn't. I am losing myself, my brain here. There's an accident. I-80 eastbound west of exit 62, Garden State Parkway, Elmwood Park. 2 left lanes of 5 lanes closed if we have that. Do we, Pam? This is exit, this is 19. There it is. So there is the other issue. So these are not that far apart either, by the way. This is I-80 again, exit 62, Route 19. This is in the Patterson area. You could see the buildup of traffic from that crash. Okay, Route 30 now. We have a traffic signal down westbound by Route 690 in Berlin. All lanes are closed on that. Crash on Route 30 both directions. Also on the New Jersey, or by the New Jersey Turnpike in Lawnside. All lanes closed there. Another crash that just got reported, Garden State Parkway. This is northbound, south of exit 135 Central Avenue, Clark. All lanes are open. We have a water main break on 206, northbound, north of 195 in Hamilton Township, the right shoulder closed. So it has gotten ugly very fast in the last half hour in New Jersey in terms of traffic. Your approaches to the Hudson River right now, Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 35 minutes, and GWB upper and lower levels, 80, 95, jamming. This is going to cost you 45 minutes into Manhattan. It is 8:21, and jazz has long been a powerful part of American culture. And every year, the International Jazz Day brings communities together to celebrate its impact around the world. NJPAC in Newark is continuing that tradition with a free concert on April 26th that showcases the next generation of jazz talent. Rosa Hyde is the Senior Director of Arts Education, Performances, and Special Events at NJPAC. And we say good morning, Rosa.
Good morning. So
So
glad to be
nice to
here with
have
you.
you on. Thank you for your patience through the craziness on the highways. Aren't you glad you are where you are and I am where I am and we don't have to deal
I
with it,
am
right?
indeed.
Too much. So this, I love jazz. I love jazz and I love NJ Pack. So this is like made for me. And I must confess. And so what makes this event so special?
This is an incredible event. This is actually our 10th anniversary of doing the International Jazz Day celebration in at NJPAC and with the community. So the goal of this concert and this program is to really allow young people who are studying jazz instruction, as well as those who are more expert, to be able to show off their skills in a greater concert. So this year we're featuring high school ensembles as well as a college as well as an expert ensemble featuring Stefan Harris, who is an amazing jazz vibraphonist and educator. So we're looking forward to this incredible concert where young people are going to be able to show off their skills, and we get to see who's next up in the jazz world.
And this is a week from not it's not this Saturday, but a week from this Saturday on April 26th. And by the way, all you had to do was mention vibraphone, and it took me back to like the 1970s when that really was very hot. And I love that era
Absolutely.
of jazz. That was such a cool era. And it's so few people play the vibraphone.
I
But
agree.
it's so cool to listen to. My God. Why is it so important that we give young musicians a platform like this? Because they don't really get to play on a big stage in front of a lot of people as they're coming up, do they?
That's absolutely right. It's really important to give young people a platform to be able to show off their skills and really speak about the music that they love. You know, most times people talk about just popular music, but jazz music is really the root to most American music. And the fact that our young people today, especially in New Jersey, those coming over from New York, from Riverdale High School, as well as those in Pennsylvania who are also coming and performing in this concert, to really show off that we understand the cultural heritage of jazz, as well as that it is an international music. Though it may have started in the United States, it has a worldwide appeal, which is what we're celebrating during this concert.
I had a music teacher years ago who said that jazz was the next level after classical, that then took classical and took the movements into an American style. And that is what gave birth to, you could say that with blues gave birth to rock. So it's just, you see, this is such an integral part of American music and Americana and our culture. And it's just beautiful that it gets celebrated like this. Talk
It's
about how, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, please.
It is absolutely true, and as you can tell, I'm extremely excited about the event. So it really coordinates with the anniversary of the birth of our United States, as well as the history of jazz music as our collective music as a country. So we're going to be featuring four really great ensembles. An ensemble coming from Riverdale High School in the Bronx, our TD Jazz for Teens students who are coming from Newark and the greater Newark area, our partner Jazz House Kids, which is based out of Montclair, and we have been doing this partnership for 10 years to really show that it's important that as a state and as a collective we get behind young people to really teach and move forward this music form and really start to prepare the next generation. And then we're having a college partner coming in from Pennsylvania, which is called the Valley Jazz Orchestra from Lebanon Valley College in Pennsylvania, to be able to join us on the first set. And then the second set, which we are excited to have a group, a big band, about 18 players from the regional area called Lance Bryant and Shout, that are going to come on stage and really shout it out and really show us the fun aspects of jazz, along with Stefan Harris really doing the guest spot, which is an incredible for somebody of that caliber to really spend his time to take care of the music and to really educate the children about the field.
I love it. And talk about how Newark itself as a city has been such an epicenter for jazz. I mean, you had the Village was big into jazz, of course, over the years. Can't deny that. And even there are some parts of the country like St. Louis. You have Hollywood, Florida has a big jazz scene. But
Yes,
Newark is this is one of the meccas of jazz. And how essential it is that NJ Pack keeps that alive. Look, the jazz radio station for literally the entire country as broadcast around the country on Sirius XM is WBGO. That's
absolutely.
America's jazz station, and it's licensed to Newark. So that's the beauty of it. We have it right here, and it's a treasure, and we have to take advantage of it. This Jazz for Teens program has had such an impact over the years. Talk about some of the people who've come out of it and how big it's been for teens.
Oh, it has been an incredible program. Over the past 28 years, we have had the TD Jazz for Teens program with NJ Pack. And we've had a variety of young people come through our doors, starting off with one of the more famous ones, which is Tyshawn Sorey, who is MacArthur Genius winner, as well as having faculty previously like Jasmia Horn, who was burning up the charts, and young lions like Liani Mateo, who is currently on the upright bass, who is doing incredible work with the Jazz Lincoln Center Orchestra, as well as other places in New York City and other venues. So our goal is to really make sure that the young person, we're accepting the child as a whole, right? We're looking at their total picture, how their family is, how we can help and work with the family as well as the school to make sure that the student gets the best experience possible. They get opportunities to go out and do events and actually test their skills as a performer on stage in high school. It's really important to know that if this is your love, that you want to test out and experiment so you can see in your expertise on the jazz bandstand.
Loving it. What's a website for more information, Rosa?
So you're going to go to www.njpac.org, and it is International Jazz Day, and it'll be on the events page.
Amen to that. The International Day of Jazz, April 26th. The concert is free at NJPAC in Newark. Rosa Hyde, Senior Director of Arts Education, Performances, and Special Events at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Thanks so much for coming on this morning. I hope it's a kick-butt day. It's going to be awesome.
And thank you for having me. And please, if you have time, come on out to the concert.
I can't wait. I love it. I've been there before, and it's fantastic. Thank you so much, Rosa.
Thank you.
You bet. It is 8:28. When we come back, there's an organization helping small businesses not only survive, but thrive. We'll explain. We're coming back in 2. Good morning. It's Thursday, April 16th, 2026, already 71 degrees at 8:30. And I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Hot today, sun and clouds. Meteorologist Mike Favetta on this special election day. For those that don't realize, it is a special election day. For those in New Jersey, for Congressional District 11, which is the district that now Governor Mikey Sherrill held a congressional seat in. She had to, of course, forego that seat to become governor. So now that leaves an opening. And rather than wait till November, because people get confused, the governor of the state can appoint a senator to temporarily fill in, but the governor does not appoint a Congress member. I've heard even people, friends of mine on talk radio, I heard the other day saying, well, the governor can appoint. No, that's not the Constitution. The governor appoints the Senate. Years ago, you couldn't even vote for a senator. Back in the 1800s, the state Assembly and, yeah, I guess the state assembly and Senate used to vote for, and the governor would sign in who became your Senate representative in Congress. So it's only in the last 150 years or so that we got to vote for a senator. A lot of folks don't even realize that. But anyway, special election today, 11th congressional district. Go out and vote. It's Analia Mejia, who's running as a Democrat, Joe Hathaway running as a Republican. Google them, look up the details, see who you want to support. Get out and vote. Important. Otherwise, you have no right to kvetch if you don't like who you get, right?
I love the civics lesson this morning. Thank you so much, Ken.
I try.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated. How about a little lesson in weather of what's going on weather-wise? Because with all this sunshine and warmth today, don't get used to it. There is a reality check coming in the form of some very chilly weather after a really lovely start to the day. Temperatures warm quickly down the shore into the 90s there toward Hamilton. You'll only find yourself in the 70s along the shore line at the coast because of that little bit of a breeze coming in from the south. But it's that tree pollen that remains stubbornly high into today and tomorrow. Have to wait for some rains to clear us out later on. 92, so we might break the record from 2002, maybe do two in a row. Shattered the record yesterday of 90 back in the old record was 86 back in 1960 over at Newark Airport. With all of the clear sky this morning, it's a really warm beginning to the day, and even though the rain chances are low into Friday, I think we'll see them peak by Sunday. That's our best chance of seeing some wet weather all day long on Sunday, and that's really going to help cool things down after so much of the summer-like warmth. So our first front comes through on Friday. Relatively dry, just cools us down a little bit, removes the humidity, maybe put some clouds in the way. What it does do is bring in an easterly breeze that will make it feel chilly on Saturday. Gusts up to 20 miles per hour at the coast, of a wind of 50 degrees with the clouds. Not exactly a very warm feeling. And then by Sunday, the rain comes in, so it's a chilly rain in the 50s lasting throughout the day, and then we have clear sky Monday, but we start the day in the 30s, so a little bit of that chilly weather lasts going into next week and kind of takes us into the next few days starting on Monday. So we go from the 90s back down to the 30s later on Monday, a big drop in temperatures that'll keep us cool even through Tuesday. I think we rebound by the middle of next week, but you'll notice that the coast stays chilly throughout much of next week with that easterly breeze persisting, even though the clear skies back, Ken, by Monday.
All right, sir. Look at that. Thank you so much. It is 8:34 right now, 69 degrees northern New Jersey, 70 degrees in Trenton. It's 65 in Cape May, 68 in Vineland. And in terms of traffic, we have a lot of it. Let's go over to I-80, and this is by Route 20 in the Patterson area. We have an accident off to the right shoulder causing a lot of traffic in both directions, actually. A little rubbernecking on the other side there. So just beware of that on I-80 through the Patterson area. We also have a disabled tractor trailer on the Goethals Bridge westbound New York side, actually making their way into New Jersey. Right lane is blocked. Route 42 crash northbound 295 Belmore. Left lane of 4 lanes closed. Traffic signal down 2. And this is on Route 30 westbound by Route 690 Berlin. All lanes are closed there. There's a crash on the Garden State northbound south of exit 135 Central Ave and Clark. All lanes are still open though. And a water main break on 206. This is northbound north of 195 in Hamilton Township with the right shoulder closed. 8095 approaches to the GWB upper and lower levels right now. You're going to see a lot of traffic. 45 minutes into Manhattan, only 35 at both the Lincoln and the Holland. It is 8:35, and the next interview is brought to you by the good people at National Retail Solutions. Small businesses are the backbone of communities across New Jersey and the country. But in today's fast-moving retail landscape, staying competitive and compliant can be a real challenge. From managing payments and inventory to navigating regulations and new technology, independent retailers are being asked to do more than ever before. And that's where National Retail Solutions comes in, providing tools, services, and support to help small retailers not just survive, but grow. With more than 30,000 stores in its network and continued expansion into new services and partnerships, the company is making a major role in shaping the future of independent retail. And joining us now is Ellie Y. Katz, who is President and CEO of National Retail Solutions. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ken. How we doing?
Good to have you on. Sorry about all that traffic ahead of you, but it's nice to talk about something
I
positive
know
here.
what are
So
we
talk about
doing? That's my exact route to work.
See, that is, I think it's the glaring sun. I think that gets in people's faces. It usually at just about this time each day, and this, as we come into this late spring, this happens. But talk about National Retail Solutions. So tell people what National Retail Solutions does and how it helps small retailers operate and grow. Because it's hard when you're a small business to grow in this climate.
You hit the nail on the head, and I'm very familiar with running a small business. I personally am and was a small business owner for many years, restaurants, small retail shops. And what happens is the person behind the counter becomes the head of HR, the CEO, the employee of the month, and everything in between, the purchasing agent. And it really a lot falls in onto them, and that's plus they have to manage the customers and try to make sure that they get more custom and keep up. I think you said it right. It's not just to manage your business, also to thrive and to grow your business. And the landscape is becoming a lot more competitive and a lot more difficult, especially for these small businesses, independents, of which there's 33 million or so in the US.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of small business owners. My dad was one, and it sometimes feels like you're on a treadmill, right? Like you're working just to pay the bills and to keep your head above water, and you don't even have time. You're just so exhausted at the end of the day, you don't have time to think about how to make it bigger and better. So now you guys offer some core services. Like talk about some of the tools that are so critical for small businesses trying to stay competitive.
So a treadmill is a great example, and you're very busy, and sometimes you're just drinking soup with a fork. You're not picking up anything, but you are very busy. And National Retail Solutions recognizes those challenges. And what we've done is we've come up with a bunch of different products, and we continue to come up with products specifically aimed and geared these independent businesses. And we put a bow around it. We educate those merchants. We basically find best of class. So, for example, point of sale register was our first product. We recognize that a lot of these independent convenience stores, liquor stores, gas stations, tobacco shops, cafes, they were really running without a point of sale register. I know it's hard to believe, because now everything is more technology. But when we started 10 years ago, some of these convenience stores were using a shoebox to hold their
Mhm.
money. As we call them here in New Jersey, bodegas, right? Because
Right.
in California they call them tiendas, and throughout the country, but they're all corner groceries. They don't have one thing in common other than the merchant really bet everything to become an entrepreneur and feed their family from the four corners of their store. And
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's difficult. And I don't know how difficult it is, Ken. We saw in the news this week that 7-Eleven, which has, I think, over 12,000 stores, has announced that they're shutting 600 something stores. I mean, if 7-Eleven, a well-funded, they know how to market, they know what products to put in, they have planograms, and they know what to price things at. They obviously have some struggles. Imagine the independent who doesn't have the same deep pockets to run their business.
Yeah, the point of sale thing is fascinating because I remember my dad's store. He had a luncheonette, and in the front he sold all the candy and stuff like that. An old time luncheonette, and we had a register that you ching ching. That's what it was. But there was no way unless you physically wrote down everything you sold. There was no way to keep stock of inventory. But this is what you're talking about. In other words, take some of that burden off of the day to day by having a register that just keeps track of all that for you. Take advantage of the technology. And you just recently introduced initiatives like Skimmer Protection Initiative. What is Skimmer Protection Initiative?
So, like I mentioned, we do a lot of that legwork, a lot of the back office work, let's call it, for our over 35,000 businesses that are in our network every single month, right? So we recognize that what's going on now is people are going into stores, covering up the current credit card with a skimmer. That's what it's called. It's basically a copy of the face of the credit card machine, so that when the next person comes in, they're really just giving the bad guys all of their personal data. And a lot of this is going on. It's we've seen it all over the country. So we came up with certain safety seals and skimmer protections, to protect that merchant, because ultimately it's on that merchant. When someone ends up getting charged, I still remember when I went to a gas station and 10 minutes later my card was charged 600 miles away at a jewelry store. And I remember which gas station. I'll never go back to that gas station.
Mhm.
So we need to protect these merchants from a lot of these scams that are out there. But that's just one piece. I mean, we also do credit card processing, right? It's part of our credit card processing. There's so many merchants that get sold a bill of goods from their neighbor, their friend, their cousin, their uncle. They're all in the credit card processing business, and every business needs credit card processing. So we came up with a very clean, easy to understand product, which has no long-term contract. It's basically you fill out a paperwork. It's a no long-term contract at all, no cancellation fee, free equipment, and a clean rate. So like you understand what you're being charged. What you said is what you're being charged, as opposed to like when you look at your utility bill. I don't think anybody knows how to read their utility bill.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%, but I did not realize this is an amazing service and a very important one. Eli, tell
Yeah.
us a website for more information so people can get in touch with your service.
nrsplus.com, nrsplus.com. National Retail Solutions is nrsplus.com, and check us out. We have payroll, we have cash advance, we have a lot of different core services and products that are needed for these independents. And like I said, we have a group of great individuals that stand behind the products, that hold the merchants' hands, that guide them, that understand their challenges and their limitations. And based on that, we help them understand exactly what it is they need and how to use it.
So if you're a small business, don't just survive, you can thrive, you can grow, you can make it successful. Eli Y. Katz, President and CEO of National Retail Solutions. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. What a great service.
Thank you so much for having me. And if you could please try to reduce that traffic, I'd appreciate it because I got to get to work.
I will try my best, my friend. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ken.
All
Take
right.
care.
You bet. You too. 71 degrees now, 8:44. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 845. We're taking calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, come on in. I'm going to be selling custom fans today, but I understand I better sell them today because the next couple of days they're not going to be needed.
Yeah, they could be used as, I don't know, little,
Protection from
I don't know.
rain?
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was going for. Thank you. You're on the third cup of coffee. I'm still on my first, so it's time. It's time. Yes, it's time. I looked at the clock, went, wow, it's almost 9 o'clock. We start off this morning, Ken, with a dry, warm morning, and we're actually in quite a bit of a rainfall deficit, 1 to 2 inches just in the last 30 days. Thursday morning is when the new drought update comes out, and yes, it was published to be back to a moderate drought, that tan color across most of New Jersey, because it has been pretty dry. You've noticed it over the last week or so with the dust getting kicked up as those breezes blow. Just abnormally dry there across that stretch of Morris County into Warren County and Flemington. But beyond that, Hunterdon County. Going into the next few afternoons, plan on another round of warm weather today and tomorrow, and then that's it. Our little summer fling is over, because even with that temperatures reaching 87 in Hackettstown today with the high humidity, yeah, it feels warm today, but it'll start to cool down dramatically over the next few days, even as the dry weather prevails, especially across most of the Northeast. New Jersey, equal chances of rainfall, and we have those chances of rain coming in the form of some heavy rains on Sunday, but most of the warm weather stays down to our south, where cooler weather is on tap over the next several days. Look at what happens this weekend. That easterly breeze on Saturday is going to drop the temperature into Sunday, making it feel like the 50s for most of the day. I think it's going to be a struggle to get to 50 to 61. Monday is only in the 50s. We're in the 40s most of the day, actually. We just make it to 50 because the 30s are on tap for Tuesday. Chilly weather. And then as we head into the end of next week, starting to moderate back up into the 60s. The beach location's much cooler with that breeze off of the water. So the whole time, Ken, we've enjoyed that southwesterly wind that's given us a saving grace from the chill. But now, with that wind shift late tonight into tomorrow, when that wind comes off the water, oh, it's going to feel chilly right across New Jersey.
All right. I love the little howl. Oh, okay. We'll work. Thank you very much, Mike. We will check back with you, sir. In the meantime, right now we have, let's see, we got some good temperatures in the area. Good if you like warmth. We have a temperature right now of 70 degrees in Trenton. It is 68 degrees in northern New Jersey, 65 down the shore in Cape May. And looking at traffic, a lot of it. Let's go over to I-80. This is at Route 20, between Route 19 and Route 20 in the Patterson area. Lots of traffic from an earlier crash. It's off to the shoulder. Just beware as you head through the area. Also rubbernecking on the opposite side. We have a crash now, Route 42, northbound Route 295 area in Belmore. Left lane of 4 lanes closed. I do believe we have that. Yes, look at the traffic there as you make your way around. You can see the flashing lights there off to the side. That's causing people to get around them. So just be aware of that. Route 30 has a signal down, and this is by 690 in Berlin. All lanes are now closed. Water main break on 206 northbound, north of 195 Hamilton Township with the right shoulder closed. And the Lincoln and Holland tunnels both reporting 40 minutes in. A lot of traffic this morning. GWB upper and lower levels 45 to 50 as we see the upper level on the right, lower level on the left. It is 8:50. And property taxes remain one of the biggest financial burdens for many New Jersey residents, especially older adults. And we have a segment right now with AARP. All right, so we started talking about it a second ago, and property taxes certainly remain one of the biggest financial burdens for a lot of people who live in New Jersey, especially if you're older and you have to stay in your homes and you're on a fixed income. Programs like Stay NJ, along with Anchor and the Senior Freeze, are designed to ease that pressure. But understanding how they work and who benefits can be very confusing. AARP has been advocating for stronger, more accessible relief and for policies that truly meet the needs of residents. And joining us now to break it all down, Katie Squires, Associate State Director of Advocacy at AARP, and Robert Rashkes, who is an AARP advocacy volunteer who has experienced this issue firsthand. Thank you both for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
You bet. Katie, what property tax relief programs are currently available in New Jersey, and how do they work together for residents?
Well, you listed them, Ken. There's the Senior Freeze, there's Stay New Jersey, and there's Anchor. And what a great recent change that happened was making it a consolidated application so that people just have to fill out one application. It's the blue book that folks get in the mail, and the rest of the information is figured out for them.
Yeah, and talk about the impact that programs like Stay NJ have and what kind of relief homeowners can realistically expect. Because for a lot of folks on fixed income, even if it's a few $1,000s, it could make or break whether they can stay in New Jersey in retirement.
Absolutely. And we are hearing that in the surveys we've run. We're hearing that from people as young as pre-retirement, 50 to 64, that they're making decisions whether they're going to be able to stay in the state or not based on property taxes. About 50% of the people we surveyed said they seriously consider leaving New Jersey. And of those people, 80% said property taxes were a driving factor. So the thousands of dollars do add up. If you're on a fixed income, $1,000 coming your way makes a huge difference, especially with property tax bills averaging north of $10,000. And as Robert will talk about in other communities, it's well above that 10,000 figure.
And you're looking at states like Florida right now that have no state income tax, and they're talking about abolishing their property tax. So if you're on a fixed income, how does New Jersey compete against something like that? And Robert, on a personal level, what does property tax relief mean to you and your ability to stay in your home right here in the beautiful Garden State?
Well, it's very important because last year we had a property tax revaluation in West Orange, and the new average property tax bill is $16,000 per person. My taxes went up $3,000, and we had to pay the $3,000 increase in the last 2 quarters of the year. So all of a sudden, I have it's like sticker shock, and luckily at that point, I start getting checks from my from the blue booklet I filed last year, and that made the difference from depleting my checking account.
Oh, I mean, it's not like you're on a fixed income at this point. You're retired, you budget, and it's like they think that you're supposed to just get this money from the sky. You recently wrote an op-ed about Stay NJ, Robert. What message
Yes.
were you hoping you could send to lawmakers and the public about this?
Well, the importance of keeping the promise. We're counting on the money that we wanted. We're looking to make sure that it's a promise, and we're relying on it because people are worried, people are scared. We at the township council meeting the other night, we heard a report of a senior in West Orange whose taxes went up $6,000 with the revaluation, and that person is working 3 jobs and is hanging on by a thread just to stay in West Orange. So it's very concerning. Everybody's asking, where's the blue books? And the West Orange Senior Services Department, they hold seminars bringing in the state treasury people, and it's very well attended. Everybody shows up because they need that property tax relief to stay here.
And all you want to do is enjoy your retirement. You shouldn't have to be stressing like this. Katie, talk about some of the biggest challenges that residents are facing when they try to access these programs.
Well, I think there's still a lack of awareness. We have been having some regular telephone town halls with the Treasury, and when we survey the callers, many of them still haven't heard of at least one of the 3 programs. So one of the benefits of all the programs being on one application is it's a natural way for people to hear about it. But we need to make sure that these programs continue. So every year, it's something that we at AARP are fighting for to make sure that relief is there for them.
And thank God for AARP for that. I full disclosure, I've been a member of AARP for 13 years. I love it and all that it offers. Just saying it, putting it out there. It's one of the best bargains out there for joining a group that really helps a lot. And Katie, as lawmakers work through the state budget, what should they be prioritizing when it comes to property tax relief?
We want to make sure that the promise for Stay New Jersey is maintained. We want to make sure that relief, especially the full $6,500 benefit, is there, and that the program is maintained. People are counting on this money. The state budget timeline is very different than our household timeline. We typically don't budget, middle of the year to middle of the year. We typically budget January to December. And so as folks are making their budgets for the year and they're trying to plan things out and they see these checks come in from Stay New Jersey and see what they're able to do, what they're able to stop putting off, for instance, what they're able to, medicines that they're able to purchase, food, higher groceries that they have to pay for, utilities, you name it. This is such a huge relief for folks. And so they want to be able to be sure that they can count on it.
All right. And Robert, from your perspective, and you kind of touched on it a little bit already, what are residents most concerned about right now when it comes to rising property taxes?
How are we going to pay for it? And can we stay in our homes and our communities that we love? And West Orange is an age-friendly community, and I want to be able to stay here and age in New Jersey. And it's difficult, and everybody has to figure out how we're going to do it. And these programs are vital.
Amen to that. I mean, here you've helped build New Jersey. You made New Jersey the great place it is for the next generation. And then basically it's like, okay, now you could leave. No, you want to enjoy your retirement. Robert, do you
Yes.
know of a website where people can learn more about eligibility and apply for the programs?
Well, I look forward to getting my form in the mail every year, and it says for more information, call 1-888-238-1233 to get your application for the property tax relief program.
There you go. And then Katie, is there also a website, Katie?
Yes, we have aarp.org/NJ resources that folks can head over there and find out more information about property tax relief and other help that's available across the state.
And I'm glad Robert also gave the 800 number because a lot of people, especially older people, my mother would look at me and say, huh, WW what? So the 800 number is very important also as an option. So I appreciate you both very much. Katie Squires, Associate State Director of Advocacy at AARP, and AARP Advocacy Volunteer Robert Rashkis. Thank you both for coming on this morning. Let's hope that this is dealt with so that our seniors can enjoy their retirement here in the beautiful Garden State. We appreciate you both.
Yeah, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Ken.
You bet. And thank you for watching On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says hot today, mix of clouds and sun near record highs, temps about 91. We'll see you again tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. Again, thanks for watching On New Jersey Mornings. Have a great day.